Hello BookTube. My video cut out again. So now I have to make a part 3 because if I left it there, I was talking about C.V. Wedgwood's book on King Charles I and his execution. But if I left it there, I was talking about this book, I would leave out my favorite finds of the day. So I have to keep going. I have to make this short video. It'll probably be 10 minutes and just make it a part 3. So we're going to continue with the final stack in my mail haul. Or not my mail haul, my enormous book haul. My modest, enormous book haul. Huh? And we're going to continue with history. So this next book here is by Philip Blom, and it's his book Fracture, which a pretty cool cover for a history book. And it's Life and Culture in the West from 1918 to 1938. So I guess between the wars. And he's known for, and it says right here, for his previous book, The Vertigo Years, which was the Edwardian era, which I do want to find a copy of one of these days. But I found this copy instead of his later book in his little history writing there. So I'm glad to find this. And then we're going to move on to one of many finds of the day, or I guess it's not fair to call them all finds of the day, but one of the books that is really high up there, and it's The Waning of the Renaissance by William J. Belsma, 1550 to 1640. And the reason why this very specific history book is a find of the day is because I've had this on my list for a very long time as a book that I want to get, but it's always very expensive because it's not in print anymore. But it's part of the Yale Intellectual History of the West series, as you see up top there. That is a series that did not have very many volumes in it. It was proposed to have a ton of volumes, but it only ended up having 3, and this was one of them. This one, and I actually own one of the others, which is Medieval Foundations of the Western Intellectual Tradition, 400 to 1400. And then the other one that I want that I don't have is The Crisis of Reason, European Thought, 1848 to 1914. And they were supposed to have 4 other volumes in this series that never ended up happening. Books on the Enlightenment, the World of Knowledge, Intellectual Renaissance, and Intellectuals in a Revolutionary Age. All of books that were never written. So it's very interesting that only 3 books were ever published in the series, and now I have 2 of them. So I'm glad to have this one. But any kind of intellectual history is my cup of tea. And speaking of intellectual history, we have The Relentless Revolution, A History of Capitalism by Joyce Appleby, or Appleby. And it's just a history of capitalism. There's many like this. Usually I'm very skeptical about histories of capitalism because they're either written by capitalists who are ignoring all the faults of capitalism, or by Marxists and people who are relentlessly critiquing capitalism, and it doesn't make for interesting history. It's more just political theory and in-group, preaching. So I hope this is not any one of those, and it's kind of hard not to trust an author with a face like that. Doesn't she look like a good historian that you can at least trust? So, I don't know if this is a reliable history, but I'm going to try and trust that face, and hopefully she doesn't leave me astray. It's a very short history, too, for a book that purports to be a history of capitalism. A book that's not even 450 pages, so that was a nice find. Then we get into the real treats, and I'll show you why. So this one here is another double, but it's a particular kind of double. It's the Oxford Illustrated History of Medieval Europe, and it's edited by George Holmes. And I actually have this copy I have this book in a paperback, but the paperback for these Oxford Illustrated Histories are not very well put together. I have their Oxford History of Philosophy, and the bind creaks all the time. So I found a hardcover of this edition, and it's an illustrated history. So it's divided into chapters. I think 4 or 5 chapters. And does it tell me the chapters? We got 6 chapters, okay. So we just got six chapters of different aspects of medieval history, and they're all published by, or written by different authors. And again, it's got lots of images in it. Not as beautiful, I would say, as the Michael Grant book that I showed you in part 2, but it's got its own unique charm to it. And certainly the images are not going to be the same. There's not going to be as much overlap, or any overlap maybe, I wouldn't know. And we also got some maps. But yeah, it's an Oxford Illustrated History of medieval Europe, which is very different from modern Europe. And then the next 4 books are all in contention for the find of the day, and I'm going to go with the number 1 choice, I would say, as the actual find of the day first, before I give you the following 3, and that's just because of the order that they're in. So the find of the day, I would say, is this landmark edition, the landmark volume of Xenophon's Hellenica, and this is edited by Robert Strassler, and this is a new translation by John Morin-Kohler with an introduction by David Thomas. And the reason why I would consider this the find of the day is because I have every single landmark volume except for this one, and I bought every single volume brand new, except for this one. This one I found for $15, so it was a lot more expensive than the rest. The rest were all probably $5 and under, except for this one. And I knew that when I saw it, I'd much rather spend $15 for this hardcover edition than say spend $50 for the paperback, which is what the price is for this book online. And at like a brand new retail price is $50 for the paperback. So getting this for hardcover, perfectly good hardcover, for $15 is just amazing. And what makes these books, these landmark editions, so amazing is because they have photographs and illustrations and originally commissioned maps all over. So look at that. We have a picture there, and then we have a map there. Isn't that just amazing? I'm just going to keep on repeating the word amazing. I need to work on my linguistic skills. But more maps there. I'm no Joe Spivey, I'll tell you that. But yeah, just tons of great stuff in this, and I'm very excited to have this. And that's why I consider it the find of the day. But the rest give it all a very strong contention for that spot, because this next volume here is an illustrated Odyssey. And this is translated by E.V. Ryu, and the introduction is by Joketa Hawks. And typically, if I saw something like this, I would just get it because it's an illustrated version. Because a version like this would spend so much money on the printing of this hardcover thing and on all the illustrations throughout, that they wouldn't. That when it comes to actually having a translation of this, they would just go with something in the public domain. But here they went with the E.V. Ryu translation, which is the Penguin Classic translation, the original Penguin Classic, that set off the Penguin Classic line as a bestseller, because they produced it in a mass market paperback that was cheap, affordable, and easy to print, and that people could buy everywhere. And so they could pick up this prose translation of the Odyssey and enjoy it. And now this volume takes that translation and puts it in a hardcover with illustrations. So I actually have a mass market of that E.V. Ryu translation. But now I have it again in this delicious, gorgeously illustrated edition of the Odyssey. And just, that's incredible. Incredible to find that. And this volume, I don't even think I paid that much. I paid $2 for this volume. Can you imagine that? Paying $2 for that? And the next 2 were just as amazing, though they were more expensive. And so this next one is the annotated Uncle Tom's Cabin, in this massive volume here, the Uncle Tom's Cabin. And it's edited with an introduction by Henry Louis Gates Jr. with Hollis Robbins, and it's in the Norton not Norton Critical, but it's in that Norton series where they do annotated classics, and this has like a plastic covering over it already, and it's just this oversized book where they print the text in the middle there, but then in red on the side is all that extra annotation. And it's not just annotations though, they include illustrations too. So we got illustrations all throughout. Annotations and illustrations. Just a remarkable volume to find. I can give you some more examples of illustrations. What a feast this is going to be. Because I know that Uncle Tom's Cabin, I've been told, it doesn't stand up necessarily as a good novel. It's very historically important, of course, but as a novel itself, it's not necessarily the most engaging or well written or most enjoyable. So to get an annotated illustrated edition is, I think, the ideal way to enjoy this book. And interesting, I just found a bookmark inside of it. So that is an amazing find. But then this is another book that I found, another annotated version, the annotated Walden by Henry David Thoreau, and it includes civil disobedience. It says, together with civil disobedience, a detailed chronology in various pieces by its author, or about its author, writings and publishings of the book. Edited with an introduction, notes, and bibliography by Philip Van Doren Stern. So he one-ups Henry David Thoreau by having 4 names instead of 3. Henry David Thoreau. Philip Van Doren Stern. But I guess the Van there is like a, I don't know, is that part of his actual name, or is that like an older title or something? And this one, again, it's the same thing. It's got all this extra stuff in it. So you got the original text there, but then you got extra stuff in the margins, and then we got a map in 1850, and then we got almost like a tombstone, but not really. It's like it says the site of Thoreau's cabin, so it's not really a tombstone. Maybe I guess it's a tombstone for a cabin. But then we got images of the area. Just really cool stuff, and it's like that all throughout, and it's remarkable to find this. But this is not a Norton edition. This is a Barnes & Noble edition. So that's it for part 3 of my book haul. Those are just some of my favorite finds, and it's too bad that I had to section it off into a 3rd video, but maybe it's appropriate, because then I can label this as my favorites of the haul, and this will be a much shorter video. So I'm going to leave it there, BookTube, and we'll see you next time.